started, what I want to do is actually for some of you guys who were at the Leads Exchange yesterday, we talked about luck and how luck can play into reaching your goals or hitting a certain objective or aim that you have. So some of this is going to be repeat for you, but I'm going to dive into some other insights when it comes to goal setting. And what I want to do is keep this really interactive as well. So if you're on your laptop, you can do it on your phone too. So if you have a question, go to the chat box and just say, hey, I got a question, or drop your question in the chat box. And then we can address it there. And then obviously, towards the end, we'll have some questions, or, I may just open it up for questions in like 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to go ahead and cover just a few items when it comes to goal setting, and then we'll go from there. So listen, guys, we have completed our first full week of the accountability group or program. And, I'm super excited. I don't know about you guys, but I can see just the momentum, just the sincerity of everybody pushing and trying to, stretch in terms of doing their daily activities. And really, that's what it's all about. Because I believe when it comes to goal setting, when we set a goal and when we write the goal down, like, to me, the goal is done, okay? It is absolutely done. Like, if we can imagine it, if we can think it, and if we can write it down and we commit to it, like, mentally, I believe that it is done, okay? Now, what do I mean by that? I'm not trying to get real deep, but, like, think about it. If you set a goal of, I want to make $100,000 next year, like, it's a lot of people out here making $100,000. Like, you can do that, okay? So you can make that happen. So go ahead and commit and see yourself making that happen. But it's done in terms of, hey, God is going to help you make that happen. The universe is going to work together to make that happen. But what needs to happen in the process, right? So that's what I really want to talk about. And that's why yesterday, like, I was talking about luck. I was like, look, luck to me is one of those things where, we something happens in our lives and we think, hey, I got lucky. I listened to this podcast. It's called, y'all may have heard of it, How I Built This. It's an NPR podcast about entrepreneurs and how they started and how they, became successful. So they interview the founders of like Instagram and Airbnb and Spanx and all this stuff. So, and they talk about, but the interviewer always asks the entrepreneur at the end of the interview, how much of your success should be accredited to hard work and how much of it is accredited to luck. And to my surprise, like, a majority of the entrepreneurs say, look, I was lucky. I met this person, I happened to be at this party, and I met this guy, or I met my co-founder, or I ran into this person, he introduced me to my investor, all this type of stuff. But how does luck happen, and how can we increase our luck? Because I truly believe that we get lucky every day. And just to be clear, when I say luck, I have an acronym for luck. So the acronym for luck stands for labor under correct knowledge, okay? Labor under correct knowledge. And to me, what that means is that the harder we work, the luckier we're going to get, okay? When I used to work at Comcast Business, I was a B2B sales guy. I was calling on people every day, trying to set appointments, running appointments, doing presentations, following up. The more calls I made and the more follow-ups I made, the more appointments I set, the luckier I get. Like, Pete's stuff would just fall out of the sky, like it seemed like, right? And I looked at my colleagues who did not have work ethic, and like they wasn't getting the breaks, and I can equate this to sports too. You see a football player, he barely catches the ball. He just gets 2 feet in before he goes out of bounds, and we say, man, he barely made it, right? And I don't think he barely made it. I think the practice, the work they put in beforehand, like, really paved the way to them almost making it. And the reverse happens too. Like, if somebody like just missed a pass, like just right through their hands, it's because they probably didn't put as much work in as they should have. So again, luck is labor under correct knowledge. So I believe in a principle called be, do, have. All right. So I wrote about this in my book, but the principle is you got to be before you can do, and you got to do before you can have. So when we set a goal, let's say I set a goal, I want to make $100,000 next year, and let's say I've never made $100,000, right? So I have to become somebody different in order to make $100,000. That's the be. I got to be before I can do, and I got to do before I can have. Most people get it backwards. They say, I want to have, right? I want to have $100,000. And then they say, well, what do I need to do to have $100,000? I got to work, so I got to do, right? So they always focus on what do I have to do. But I say, even before that, you have to become. So anytime you set a goal, the goal should stretch you, right? And you have to understand that you got to become somebody different in order to reach that goal, in order to close the gap. So the question that we should be asking ourselves is, who do I need to become, right? And this is powerful, y'all, because when you ask that question and when you get the answer, like, who do I need to become in order to make this $100,000? Who do I need to become in order to have the health or lose the weight that I want? Who do I need to become? And this is mental, right? Psychological. Who do I need to become? What kind of mindset do I need to have to reach that particular objective? Then that changes, it should change your perspective. So that's a key question. I believe questions are the answers, all right? So, but let's get back to luck. Labor under correct knowledge. So I think there's 3 things, guys, that we must do to increase our luck. And I can tell you story after story of like how all of these coincidences happen. Yesterday I talked about what a coincidence was. And sometimes we think a coincidence is like when something happens that we didn't expect to happen, but it just happened at the right time, at the right place. Wow, this was amazing, right? But my opinion is, or my belief is, it was supposed to happen because the root word of coincidence is coincide, right? So when 2 things coincide, guess what? They perfectly meet up together, and that's what's supposed to happen. So how can we have luck increase every day? How can we have these coincidences happen every single day? And here's 3 things I think that can happen, because I believe that everybody actually does get lucky every day. We just don't recognize it, right? So number 1, we have to be clear. We have to have super clarity on what the goal is, okay? Clear. So when it comes to it being an entrepreneur, being a salesperson, or setting goals, we always hear that we got to be specific, right? We got to be specific about our goals. But we have to recognize that sometimes the goal that we set, even if we're specific, it comes to us in a different form. Yeah, y'all may have heard like the saying that most people don't recognize an opportunity because it comes in the form of hard work, or it comes dressed in overalls, right? So that's kind of what happens with our goals too, or opportunities. So being specific means, let me give you an example. Let's say you have an ideal customer, right? And we should, right? We should. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're trying to sell something, if you're trying to build a business, you need to have an ideal customer. If you've never done this, write down who your ideal customer is. This is somebody that's going to pay you, where you're getting a nice profit, a nice margin. They pay you on time. The engagement is fulfilling to you, and you add value to them. Okay, so be very specific, be very clear on who your customer is, because guess what? If you don't know who your customer is, when your ideal customer is, when they show up, you don't even recognize them, right? So you cannot be blessed. The universe can't bless you. You can't get lucky because you don't even know who your ideal partner is or who your ideal customer is. So be specific and be clear about who your customer is. That also goes for your strategic partnerships or relationships. I would say referral partner relationships that you may create. So in our business, we actually build our business through an extensive partner program. Okay. So our partner program, means that we got a ton of referral partners, and literally every day somebody's sending us a referral or a lead or something that we can work. So we're getting customers every day. But I intentionally started the business off like that. But we had to go through a process of identifying, and we do this every year. We identify our ideal partner, okay, our ideal referral partner. Who is likely to refer you business? What does that person look like? And it may be somebody who refers you a small customer. It may be somebody who refers you a big customer. But who is this person? So we got really clear about who our referral partners were, and that way we went out. And when we look for referral partners, if we're at a networking event or if we're making calls trying to recruit referral partners, we know exactly who we're looking for, right? Again, being clear, clarity is power. This works not only in business, this works in your personal life too. Like when I was back in the day, when I was single in my early 20s, I wrote down like a 3-page document on what I wanted my girlfriend to look like physically, mentally, athleticism, all this stuff, right? And a month later, like I literally met her and started dating her, right? Now I should have added some other stuff in there like honesty and integrity, okay? But what happened is I attracted that which I got clear about, okay? So that's super powerful, and that's the first step. Now the next thing that we need to do is take action, okay? Take action. Now I want to, paraphrase this, but we just got to take the right action. Because a lot of times we are taking the wrong action, okay? So we don't want to just be busy. We want to be productive, right? We want to drive results. So in order to drive results, we have to take the right action. Now, most of you guys are in business or you're in sales. So what I want to do is give you a concept called work, okay? My definition, that is, of work. And my definition of work is talking to customers, or potential customers, or talking to customer getters, and that's your referral partners, right? So that's what work is, all right? So if you look at your day, if you go back over your day and you say, hey, listen, look at every single thing you did throughout the day. Let's look at Friday. Just look at your Friday or your Thursday, and you may say, listen, at 8 o'clock, I got to the office, so I started making calls, and then at 9 o'clock, I had a meeting, and then at 11, I got out of my meeting, and then I went to lunch and all this stuff. Look at your day and identify the activity, and then categorize it. Is it work according to my definition? Like, were you talking to potential customers? Were you talking to potential customer getters? Were you at a networking meeting, nurturing relationships or creating new relationships? That's work. If you were not doing that, it's not work. Okay? Now let me be clear, okay? Because every time I tell people this, somebody inevitably is like, look, but I had to prepare a proposal, right? Or I had to organize, I had to do my research. Listen, research is necessary. Do we have to prepare proposals? Yeah, absolutely. Do we have to drive to the appointment? Absolutely. But driving to the appointment is not work, okay? Preparing a proposal is not work according to my definition. Why? Because it's not talking to a customer or potential customer getter. All right. So if you look back over your day, according to my definition, how many hours did you work? And you may realize, look, I only worked 2 hours, or I only worked 1 hour. When I first started doing this, I was like, yo, I'm only working 1 hour a day, because I was taking about 30 minutes to make prospecting calls and about 30 minutes to do follow-ups, and all the other stuff was like driving and eating lunch and talking about the game and hunting and fishing, right? So what I did initially is I increased my work by 1 hour, okay? Which means I took 60 more minutes to talk to customers and customer getters. And guess what happened to my income? It went through the roof. So I'm not saying, yo, you need to be talking to customers 8-10 hours a day. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you need to know what real work is, right? So once you identify what true work is, then you can stop lying to yourself and saying you worked 8, 10, 15 hours a day, okay? Look back over your day and you may realize I only worked 2 hours. I only worked 3 hours. Tomorrow I want to work 4 hours, all right? Consistently, I want to make sure I put in this amount of hours of work every single day. Because if you add 25% or 50%, or if you double your work every single day, your true work, your income is going to go through the roof. You're going to drive results because you're doing the right work, okay? It's called revenue generating activity. So that is exactly what you want to do. And this is a way to increase your luck, right? Because if you're planting more seeds, it's all about planting seeds. It's all about farming. I put a post up yesterday on, I think, Facebook, and I said, if you plant apple seeds, you shouldn't expect peaches, right? So if you plant apple seeds, you're going to expect apples, right? You're going to expect the apple tree that's going to produce apples, right? And inside of each apple is what? More seeds, all right? So that's what you're doing when you're prospecting and creating and nurturing relationships and making the calls and following up and shooting out emails and all this stuff. You're farming, right? So you're not going to see the result immediately all the time, but that is work. So guys, that's how you increase your luck. Every time I'm telling you, every time I do true work, somehow I get super lucky. And guys, let me just share this with you. Some of my team, sometimes I've had in the past, they come to me and they say, why are we making cold calls? Because a lot of our deals come from our referral partners, right? So shouldn't we be trying to get more referral partners? And I'm like, yo, absolutely. So listen, we should allocate time for prospecting or going to networking meetings and looking for referral partners. But at the same time, the work, I'm telling you, the work that you put in is almost like telling the universe, look, I'm putting in true work. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, I'm preparing myself. I'm becoming, right? We talked about be, do, have. Because when you make cold calls, it's uncomfortable, okay? Or when you're out here networking, sometimes it's uncomfortable, right? Or building these relationships, it's hard work. So you're becoming, though, the right person so that you can attract the goal that you want, all right? So that's number 2. I spent a lot of time on that, but remember, let's go back. Number 1, be clear. Number 2, do the right work. And I told you what the definition of work is. Talking to customers and customer getters, or potential customers and potential customer getters. And then number 3, is discipline pays dividends, guys. So discipline is the key. So when you are networking or when you are following up or making your calls, you need to be very intentional about your system and stick to your game plan. So let me just share with you what we do in our business when we make calls and when we're trying to get new customers or trying to attract new partners to reach our goals. When we are cold calling, I'm gonna start with cold calling. Then I'm gonna go to networking. But cold calling is not a sales call. Okay, I'm gonna say it again. Cold calling is not a sales call. It is a sorting call. It's sorting, S-O-R-T. So we're sorting for the opportunities that we're gonna follow up with. Okay, so when we cold call, all we're doing is collecting information. Okay, so for example, I may cold call somebody and I may say, hey, this is Bill with MITECH in Nashville. We offer internet, voice, and TV service for businesses nationwide, and we'd love to send you some information about it. What's a good email address we can shoot some information to you about or for? And we get an email address. We may ask them, hey, how many phone lines do you have there? Another piece of IT information, and then we say, hey, who should we address this information to? Great, and then we hang up. Okay, and when I first started, I would do that 150 times a day. Okay. And all I'm doing is collecting information. Now, if I make 150 calls, 1 or 2 people are going to say, well, how much does it cost? Well, can you come meet with me? Well, who are you with again? Well, we got this now. Can you beat that? So they are engaging me, right? So guess what? Those are 1 or 2 people that I'm going to put at the top of my list, right? All the other folks, I'm just going to email them some information, right? So every day I was pulling out 1 or 2 or 3 folks who re-engaged me, right? Or they were super, talkative and they wanted to kind of get in the weeds about it. And every day I'll pick up a few of those, a handful of them, 2 or 3, right? So in a week I had 12 to 15 of them. In a month I had 60 of them. In 3 months I had, I don't know, how many is that? 180. I mean, so think about, and then the deals started coming. So I was disciplined though, okay? Every day for 2 hours I would make my calls. Or for 2.5 hours, I would block out my time and make my calls. So what activities, and listen to my question, y'all. What activities can you do every day that are going to get you, move the needle toward your goal? Whatever that 90-day goal is that you set, or whatever your 2020 goal is, what activities every day should you be doing every day? Because again, listen, when I said you write a goal down, it's done, okay? I'm almost the type, like when I write a goal down, I forget about the goal. Like I don't forget about it, but I ain't even tripping on it. Like I'm not the type of dude where I write a goal down and I put it on my whiteboard or I put it on my mirror and I got to look at it every day. I focus on the daily activity. So I give you an example. we got a goal in our company for 2020 to attract 416 new customers in 2020. Now that's the big goal, right? But what do we have to do on a daily basis to hit that goal? Okay, so that's what I'm focusing on. What do I have to do Monday through Friday to hit that goal? What does my team have to do Monday through Friday to hit that goal? And guess what? That's what we driving every day, right? So that's why I'm real anal about daily activity on with this accountability program, like every single day. Like, what is your daily activity? So make sure that when you're going through accountability, that this program, that your daily goals that you set are moving the needle toward your 90-day goal, okay? Don't just be out here taking action, doing something. No, we're trying to move the needle. We're trying to drive results. But my point is, with discipline, you must stay disciplined in terms of blocking out your time. So even when you do your daily goals, or when you list your task, sometimes I may push back, or Bruce may push back, and he may say, listen, what time are you going to do that, right? Or be more specific, right? Because that's how you get lucky. Like, if I say I'm going to work out at 4 o'clock, guess what? That's different than just saying I'm going to work out. Or if I say I'm going to work out, that's different than saying I'm going to work out, I'm going to do upper body weights, or I'm going to do 20 minutes of cardio, right? What's cardio? Cardio is running or riding a bike or swimming or what. So be specific. But my point is discipline, y'all. So hold yourself to the fire, okay? So the last thing that I want to cover is kind of like is networking, right? Like how can you apply this discipline to your networking? Well, this goes back to number one, being clear. Like, why are you networking, right? Or who are you looking for? Are you looking for a partner, or are you looking for a customer when you network? And we've all been to networking events, and you know, we got our business cards, and we're meeting people, and maybe it's awkward. Maybe we feel uncomfortable, or maybe we there to have a good time, you know? So I'm just going to give you my feedback. When I go to a networking event, I am not looking for customers, okay? I am not looking for customers. I am looking for partners, strategic referral partners, right? Who are people, who are the professionals who have referred me business in the past, and I want to meet more people like that. And I'm very clear. I know what they look like. I know what kind of business they have. I know what they do. I know what they sound like. When I ask them a certain question, I know what the response is. Like, I know who this person is. So that's who I'm looking for and guess how many I'm looking for when I go to a networking event? I'm looking for one. I don't care if it's 1,000 people in the room. I'm looking for one, right? I'm not looking to meet 10 people. And I'm not saying that's wrong, because I've heard people say that. I'm going to go to an event and I want to meet 5 people. That's great. But my thing is, I'm looking for one, because guess what? One person could change my life. One person, one business, one referral partner could change my life. One customer could change the game, right? Last month, we had probably our 3rd biggest month in the history of my company. And it was because of one referral partner. One. They got a big customer, and then they sent us a ton of the telecom business, right? And it was a big multi-location customer for them. So guess what? It became a multi-location customer for us. And I'm talking about this customer is paying $20,000 a month per location, right? So guess what? That was a big month. So you don't need 20,000 people to change your life. You need one, right? And it starts with you. So networking, be very clear. Make sure you're networking, but be clear on the questions that you should ask when you're networking, okay? So here, I'm going to give you a couple of questions that I ask when I go to an event, or when I'm out and I'm trying to identify a partner, okay? And by the way, let me say this. Do you want a customer, or do you want a referral partner that sends you a customer once a month? Okay, that's a no-brainer, right? We want a partner, right? Now, my belief is, if you go after partners, you're going to find customers on accident, all right? You're going to get lucky, right? So go after the partner when you're at a networking event, all right? And so the couple of questions that I ask are, number one, how do you get customers? All right? So let's say, guys, let's say I sell insurance like Morris. Morris owns an Allstate agency, right? So let's say I sell insurance, and one of my key referral partners is, real estate agents or mortgage officers, loan officers. So if I meet a loan officer that I've never met at a networking event, I'm going to ask this loan officer, how do you get your customers? Now, why am I asking them that? Why am I asking the loan officer that? Because I want to know their grind. I want to know, do they cold call? Do they network? You know, does their company give them leads? Like all this stuff, right? I want to know. I want to get a feel of, is this person a hustler, right? Is this person out here meeting people like I am, right? And then the second question that I ask them is, you know, when you're here at this event, like, what's your goal? What's your goal at this event, right? Again, I'm trying to get into the psychology or the mindset of this person. If they tell me I'm here, you know, to network and meet people, like, that's the canned answer, right? But if they say something like I would say, look, I'm here to meet one person and then I'm here to have fun. That's my guy. That's my girl. Why? Because they are intentional. They have a specific goal. I'm looking for people who are super specific and clear about what they want to accomplish, right? Because from my experience, those are the people that are the most productive, okay? So that's all I got in terms of like the luck. I went through a lot of stuff, y'all, but just to review, the top three actions that we talked about was, number one, being clear. Number two, taking the right action, right? And you got my definition for work. And then number three, discipline pays dividends. Okay. So let me I don't see any questions in the chat, but does anybody have any feedback or questions in terms of what I just went over?
Let me throw you a question out, Bill. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey, so through all of that, again, appreciate you pulling all this information together. Through all of that, one thing that in my line of work and in my scope, where do I take time? Because I think it's important for me within your day. When do you take time to just an hour, 45 minutes, just to think and strategize within your mind, right?
Yeah.
Working or calling. When do you take time to just think, strategize, maybe read an article, read some articles, to kind of get your mind flowing? Okay, this can help my business.
Yeah.
Do you take time to do that at the beginning of the day or at the end of your day? Or when do you find time to do that? Because I think that's important.
Yeah, and it is important. So, and I'm glad you brought that up. I usually do it at the beginning of the day because I have a morning routine. But you know, sometimes I do it in the middle of the day because I may need it. You know what I'm saying? I may need to actually sit down and be still and be quiet and pray, or just read an article, or just, you know, kind of debrief. You know what I mean? So let me say this though. Based on what type of business you're in or whatever you do, you have to value your working hours, right? So if you're going to take 15 minutes to read something or to meditate or whatever you do, realize that number one is not work, okay? But it is absolutely necessary. So schedule it. Try to schedule it. I mean, some days you're not going to be able to schedule it, or you're going to realize, look, I need to take the time right now. But you know, don't let it interfere with your true work, okay? The reason I do it in the morning is because I don't want it to interfere with my work, and I want to start my morning off right, okay? But because what I've seen before is, I used to have an employee, and he was in sales, and this dude would bring his Bible and be reading his Bible for like an hour at his desk. And I'm like, bro, are you at lunch? You know what I'm saying? I know you're reading the Bible, you know, I feel you. But like, you're not working right now. You know what I'm saying? And I'm paying you to work. So I hope you don't think, and we go to church together too. So I don't know if he thought, oh, you see me reading? No, bro, I need you on the phone. I need you, you know what I'm saying? I need you working. So that's not productivity when it comes to work, but it is definitely really laying the foundation for who we become. So that's why I kind of talked about be, do, have, you know, and that's how you become more. So definitely, I do it in the morning intentionally. I may do it throughout the day, but I try to schedule it and go from there. So hopefully that gives you some feedback and answers your question, Ashford.
This is Shateria. I have a question. I have a full-time job.
Yeah.
And how would you suggest that I, do the cold calling and prospecting? Because I'll be honest with you, that's a challenge for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because so much of my time is, I'm in schools all day with kids. I don't have like the ability to be on my phone and things like that. What suggestions would you give someone like myself because of the parameters of my current job?
And then the potential clients or whatever that you're calling they're like 8 to 5, right? Monday through Friday. Okay, so I would just schedule it. I would just schedule it, and what that means is your lunch break is going to be, some of your lunch break is going to be making some calls. You may have to go to the car and make some calls. You know what I mean? Whatever breaks that you have, and then what time does your day start?
In terms of at work?
Yeah, at work.
In general?
At work.
At work, 8.
Okay. Yeah. So.
Starts at 8 and I have a 30-minute lunch and
Okay.
15-minute break.
Okay. Yeah. So I listen. I'm telling y'all, consistency and discipline pays dividends. If I had a 30-minute lunch, I would say, look, every day I'm gonna make at least one call, one prospecting call, or two prospecting calls, or whatever I can fit in, and I'm going to shoot out, so many emails, right? On my lunch break, like crazy. Or if I got like 2 15-minute breaks, I would designate.
I can't hear somebody's talking.
Oh, let me go on mute. My fault. Okay, y'all out and about trying to Christmas shop and y'all messing up. All right, so what I said is I would actually carve out time and identify specific action items to meet on my lunch break or on my break. So whether that's saying I'm going to make 2 prospecting calls on my lunch break, I'll make 1 call. I'm going to shoot out 5 emails, on my 15-minute breaks, whatever that is. I would make that happen and being super disciplined about it. One thing that I started doing about a year ago was I would bring my lunch. That changed the game for me, okay? It really changed the game because what was I doing? I was going out, I was distracted, okay? First of all, I'm going to grab something to eat. That's an hour, okay? If I bring my lunch and eat my lunch at the office, guess what? It takes me like 10 minutes to eat. 15 minutes to eat, and I'm back at it, right? But even crazier than that, people in my business, like vendors always call me and they want me to sell their services, so they'll take me to lunch. So people were calling me like, yo, we'll take you to lunch. And I'm like, oh, cool, And I'm like, and I'm literally every week, this happens, like to this day. Like people always want to take our team and people on my team or me to lunch, right? Because they want us to sell their service. And I told my team, I was like, yo, we gotta chill on that. Because it's counterproductive. So bring in your lunch, and you may already do that, but that really changed the game for me because it gave me 45 more minutes, to put in some work, or even if that's 45 more minutes for me to meditate or read something, it's still more productive and helping me become more. So hopefully that plays a role. But I think Shaterial, other people can relate to that too. But the consistency is what matters, If you're doing the revenue generating activity every single day, you commit to whatever I think one of your goals this week was to make 4 calls or whatever, like get it in, what if the email, like get it in, you know what I'm saying? And you'll see that pays off. The consistency definitely pays off.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
Any other questions? Yeah.
I'm sorry, I thought I was muted, but then I'm going to mute myself again.
Okay.
No worries. Hey, Bill, this is Bruce. Do you have a chance to talk about any challenges people are facing and how we can tackle those moving forward?
Yeah. Go ahead and pose the question to the group, Bruce.
So my question is pretty simple. We know what to do. The accountability group is here to help you accomplish that on a consistent basis, right? And feel free to sound off, you may need to put it in the chat, if we all talk at once. What are some challenges that you've had this first week? Maybe some unexpected, maybe some expected, some old habits that are rearing their ugly head. How can we help you continue to succeed moving forward? Go ahead.
Mr. Ashford, I'll jump in with the challenge. So, set my schedule, moving on it. It's just like in past times before a call comes in. And it's not just say, hey, who's winning the game, but it's someone that's like, hey, we have this opportunity. Let's sit down and talk about what this proposal look like. How can we work with you on this process?
Mm-hmm.
And that call may take 45 minutes to an hour or whatever. So that kind of throws the rest of my schedule off. So then I'm trying to play catch up, and then another call comes in. So I'm trying to work with myself to, when those unexpected quality things do come in.
Yeah.
How do I readjust my schedule? How do I not walk away feeling like, damn, now I got to stay, I can't spend this 3 hours with the family before everybody goes to bed. I got to narrow it down to an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Just trying to deal with that type of challenge.
Yeah. Hey, man, that's hey, so
I know you have an answer for this one.
yeah, oh, for sure, man. I'm gonna tell, and listen, man, that right there is a good problem to have, but I'm trying to figure out what just happened here. Anyway, so this happens to me too, man. Because my phone will blow up with opportunities while making follow-up calls or while I should be doing something else. And you know what I do now? I don't answer my phone. Okay? And let me clarify that. So what I mean is so I schedule my time. Like if you saw my schedule, my calendar, there are blocks of things that I do, and then I got some leeway. There's some open gaps, right? So I may have a meeting, or I may have a team meeting, or I may have something blocked off for making follow-up calls and things like that. Get my true work in. So when I have a block like that, I do not answer my phone. So if I'm making calls and a call comes in, I don't answer it. If I'm making follow-up calls and a call comes in, I don't answer it. If I'm at a networking event and a call comes in, I don't answer it. All right? And so the typical response is, well, what if you missed the opportunity? I don't think you're going to miss it. Because my belief is, back to be, do, have, we're going to attract what we asked for. We're going to attract that goal that we wrote down, and then we cut the picture out and put it on our vision board and all this stuff. So we wrote the goal down. We got clear about the goal. Now we are becoming the right person. We're not going to miss the opportunity. It's done. It's coming. Okay? So that person is going to leave a message, right? Or you're going to see the missed call, and then you're going to call them back. Soon as that block of activity is done, boom, call them back. I was so anal about this early on in starting my business, and I learned this, y'all, when I actually worked at Comcast, all right? But I was so anal about this. I would make calls for 2.5 hours, and I don't care who called me, right? I would not answer the phone. So I explained this to my girlfriend, who's now my wife. I said, listen, between 8:30 and 11 o'clock, do not call me, okay? Because I'm making calls, I'm trying to stay focused, I'm trying to be disciplined. And I said, it's not like I'm not trying to hear from you, but if it's an emergency, then call me, right? So this is the conversation we had. So one day, I'm, wearing the phones out. I'm making calls, call. And my girlfriend then calls me, right? I don't answer the phone. I'm making call. She calls back. I'm like, oh, she's tripping, right? Like a minute later, she called again. I said, oh, it's got to be an emergency. I pick up the phone and she's like, hey, I just want to make sure you have a good day. I'm like, oh, you tripping, right? But my point is, there are going to be distractions. Discipline pays dividends, though. All right. So if in my position, I think that happens with all of us. We say, oh, I got a notification. So and so, a customer, just sent me a message, an email. Man, the customer's gonna be there. Why? Because you set the goal, and you're gonna attract that success. It's coming, and you're not gonna miss that opportunity. So hopefully I didn't ramble, but and addressed your question there, Ashford.
So that's the only. Okay, cool. Go ahead.
Bill, I was listening to Siri. I'm sorry.
Hold on. I think Milton had a quick question. Go ahead, Milton.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I'm familiar with the small to medium business space, but now I find myself in like national accounts enterprise. It's hard for me to actually find that many people to call on a day-to-day basis.
Mm-hmm.
How can I find people in my market space, a good number of people to actually make those calls to? It's easy to call 20 mom and pops a day. It's kind of hard to call, 20, 30, 40 of these large businesses on a regular basis out there.
Well, let me ask you this: what is the expectation from your company in terms of like quota, And like, how many deals do they expect you to do every month?
So my quota is $35,000 in install revenue and $450 in reoccurring revenue. MRC basically is what we call it in telecom. I could get that from one customer. Honestly, I mean, I got a quote out right now with a church bid. It's a really big bid. It's worth $100,000. That would make my month for 3 months. That one sale.
Okay.
I mean, it could be as many as 10 sales or one sale.
Okay. So here's what I do. You got to do the math, okay? Because your company has a quota for you, right? And so you got to reverse engineer that thing. All right. So you may want to ask your manager, or just look at look at your colleagues and say, okay, what's the average deal? So if it takes if your average deal is a quarter of your quota, that means you may have to do 4 deals on average to meet your quota, right? So then you back into it, because you can still make a ton of calls in enterprise, right? And your calls don't have to always be the potential end users. They could be the strategic partners too, all right? So you could be calling on people who also call on enterprise folks but don't sell exactly what you sell. So it could be, those companies that are selling some form of technology to these big churches. Maybe they're selling AV. Maybe they're selling telecom. Maybe they're the IT company that does that, and they don't do alarms. But I still say there's a ton of folks to call, okay? So it's really about still being disciplined when you make those calls. It's also about reverse engineering it. So, and here's what I mean by that. If you know that what your number is, if you know the average deal it's about 4 deals a month, then you need to reverse engineer, like, how many appointments do I need to run? And if the average close rate at your company is 25%, that means for every appointment or for every quote I send out, 1 out of 4 we win, right? So if you got to do 4 deals a month, how many quotes do you need to send out? 16, okay? Just doing the math, because 1 out of 4 you close. Now that may not be your number. It may be 1 out of 10. I don't know. But if it's 25% and you got to close 4 deals, that means I need to send out 16 proposals every single month. But even before that, how many calls do I need to make in order to send out a qualified proposal? Okay, so you may need to make, for every 10 calls you make, hey, I'm sending out a qualified proposal. Well, then ask yourself, if I'm going to send out 16 proposals in a month, how many calls do I need to make? 16 times 10, which is 160. So now I know, hey, I got to make 160 calls a month. And then you break that down to the day. Say I got 20 working days in a month, and I got to make 160 calls. How many calls do I need to make every day? All right. So that may only be, 15 calls a day. I'm not doing the math right. But if that's 15 calls a day, then just double that. So now you only at 30 calls a day. And I guarantee you, if you can, I know you can sell nationwide. Shoot, I can show you how to pull a free list of all the big churches in the country, and you can call 30 churches a day, big churches a day. And so I think you can make that happen.
Hey, Bill, I think
Yeah.
Material, and we have a question about choosing the best networking event.
Gotcha. Yeah, so sometimes you don't know the best networking event until you go to it, okay? But sometimes if you can find out who's going to be at the networking event, that helps. So I've gone to events intentionally because I knew somebody was going to be there that I needed to meet or that I wanted to introduce myself to, right? So if you're looking for, and I said you should be looking for referral partners at events. So look for people who would be ideal referral partners. See if you can find out who's going to be there, or just look at the type of event and say, hey, my referral partners are probably going to this type of event. So those are the events that I would choose to go to. And then just get recommendations from people in your city. I think Jamal asked that question. So you're in Las Vegas. So just get recommendations, from, there may be like a technology council or other technology groups on Meetup. Just ask people, hey, man, what are the most effective groups that you go to? What groups are you getting the most benefit out of? And just go from there. A reference goes a long way. Shatira, I think you had a question as well.
No, actually, I didn't have a question. I was just going to add to what everything about distractions. Like, I know that my husband and my son are some of my biggest distractions. But what I'm finding, like this week, I have to sit down and just really talk with them and let them know, like, hey, this is what I'm trying to do, and I'm going to have to do that multiple
Right.
because they don't quite understand it.
Right.
So that's something that helps, but I feel like I'm going to have to keep having conversations with them. Like, I got to get this stuff done.
Right.
And I'm sharing the goals with them. Mm-hmm.
Oh no, I love it. I love it. And you're right. You have to continue to share that with them. And I think that even people you work with, you got to share it with them. I have to do that with my team because at the office, I work out at an entrepreneur center, but I may have like 5 desks, for my team members there. And sometimes they just walk up to me and start talking. I'm like, don't you see me working? You know what I'm saying? So I explain that to my team. I say, listen, between this, 1 and 2 o'clock, I'm doing this. I'm at my desk. I may be on the phone or whatever, but I'm doing this. So do not disturb me. Okay. So the communication is key. And the other thing too is, one of my mentors told me this, my wife, he told me my wife has to find value in my discipline. Okay. So what that means is if I tell my wife, don't call me between 8:30 and 11, like, what does she get out of that? You know what I mean? So she either needs to see the results or I need to say, boo, because you allowed me to be disciplined, this is the kind of results I got this week, or this is what happened last month. Look at what happened. Oh, wow. So the business is growing. You're making progress. And then, everybody, it's like a team effort. So that may be a recommendation as well. Figure out how you can show them that because they are not being a distraction, it's actually helping the whole family, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have any other questions? I think we're closing out. We're about 3 minutes over, actually. But all good. I did record this, so I'll post it in the group, and everybody can you can listen to it later on or whenever.
Hey Phil, I got a quick question.
Yeah.
What do you think about making cold calls or calls to potential referral partners after hours, like late at night? I know you're gonna get a voicemail, but what's your percentage on voicemail? Is that a good call? Is that a good usage of time?
I think it is, but I don't think it's the most effective. I think an email is better. So if you got an email from a potential referral partner or a list like that, dropping an email at 1 a.m. ain't no big deal. You know what I mean? Because when they get to the office or when they check their email, then they can always respond when they feel like it. Now I'm gonna tell you, back in the day, I used to call and drop voicemails like on purpose, and I would do it at 1 o'clock in the morning. But and that's why I say it's not as effective. Although I did get deals like that because the interested people are just gonna call you back. You know what I mean? But my return on that particular activity was not as good as just dropping an email. So I think an email is better.
Cool. Thank you. If I want to add to that, if you want to catch decision makers, I've found success between 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. They're usually the first one in, especially if they own the business.
Yeah.
If you're calling and you want to talk to someone, catch them before. But I've also noticed because they get in early, they are the first ones to leave. And I co-sign Bill. That one leaving voicemails at 6, 7 p.m. It really isn't a great use of your time. Shoot an email.
Yeah. No, and that's a good point, man. I didn't even I didn't think about that, but yeah, appreciate that, Bruce. If you call a strategic partner early in the morning, that is effective. Because guess what? The owner of a business or a strategic partner who runs something or is a leader, they're probably going to be available. Like when people call me early in the morning, I'm like, all right, who is this? What's up? Or between 4:30 and 5 o'clock too. Okay. So keep that in mind. But yeah, that's a good point, man. Thanks for bringing that up. If you call me at 7 o'clock in the morning, I might go ahead and answer that phone. Sometimes I may be at the gym and somebody calls me at 6 o'clock, and I got partners all over the country, like strategic partners. So somebody in Atlanta is on Eastern time, so it's 7 o'clock there. But still, I'm like, yo, I'm picking up that phone because you caught me, you got me, and you're not calling me 6 o'clock Central for just to talk. You know what I mean? So if I haven't blocked out that time, or if I'm on the treadmill and I can get in some work and I ain't listening to some music and I'm in the zone, like I'm gonna pick up the phone. Let's go. Okay, who is that with the baby? All right, so listen, hey, if we don't have any other questions, just drop it in the chat right quick. But if not, then I appreciate you guys. I'm super proud of everybody. I see the progress, and I can't wait to see where we are 30 days from now, like at the end of this month. By the way, just a few points of clarity. So I did drop a reminder. We don't do a 7:30 a.m. Central accountability call on Saturday or Sunday. That's just Monday through Friday. If you want to communicate with your accountability partner on Saturday or Sunday, that's cool. Like if y'all want to text back and forth or Facebook message back and forth, cool. Make that happen. If you want to drop your goals in the Facebook group on the weekend, that's cool too. On the weekend, I do a lot of that's when I do a lot of my planning or a lot of my research or all that type of stuff. So those would be my goals. But I'm super stoked about what's going on. And I think we're going to see some huge progress. I know we're going to see some huge progress because of this group. So y'all have a good Saturday. I'm out. Peace.
Thanks, Dean.
You got it.